Welcome to the Unfiltered podcast, dated August 28th, 2021. I'm your host, Ernest E.J. Christian. How you guys doing? First off, we're going to try doing more of these going forward. I know this has been kind of an off and on pod over the course of the last couple of years, but, with football coming up and, obviously pro wrestling is right now about to enter another, it's technically fall time for wrestling. Is kind of a somewhat dead period because you compete with football. There's a lot going on in the world, of wrestling. There's also a lot of world going on politics, a lot of things going on in the world. And, having the Earth Speaker podcast, I have, that show obviously is, more long form and guests and stuff. But I don't want to, there's obviously a lot of stories I do miss. And having this podcast allows me to tackle miniature stories in a moment that may not really matter in another couple of days. So I can at least come on here for every 10, 15 minutes a day and just, rant and rave about things that are on my mind today in the moment. First off, let's start here. Let's start here first. Guys, I'm going to encourage you guys going forward. Please check out the YouTube page, my YouTube page. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff on there in the months and weeks to come and all that. I don't know. I just think YouTube is something I have not really utilized to its full capacity. And, I do put all my podcasts on there too for people to find, but obviously most people listen to the audio versions, but I do have videos on there too, clips on there of from the show and whatnot. So all my podcasts, whether it be the Earthquake podcast, this show, obviously Unfiltered podcast, or Take 3 Wrestling, we have lots of stuff, lots of nice little archive growing there on YouTube. So just follow me on YouTube, please, at Ernest EJ Christian on YouTube, please. Please do that. The first thing I want to tackle here today, and I'm gonna do something a little more elaborate on this on the Earthing podcast on my next solo pod, probably next couple of days. Talking about Afghanistan, Joe Biden, and the whole thing. I really wish we can have a more nuanced and more intellectually honest discussion about Afghanistan and Joe Biden's role in this, and Donald Trump's role in this, and Obama and all that. But I am looking to have more intellectual, just honest conversations about this. Now, I did have that with my buddy Edward Banks, who's on the podcast, or podcast, this past Sunday. You can check out that episode on the feed. But also, I took out a clip also of that conversation, about 50-minute clip. This is also on the on my playlist, the clips playlist. Check it out if you get a chance. But I'll say it again, and I'll do some more elaborate in the days to come. But all 6 administrations in the last 20 years all share blame in Afghanistan. Some more than others, obviously. Like I said, in the next podcast we do, I'll obviously dive into that a little more. My opinions on Afghanistan, because even my opinion on Afghanistan has changed in 20 years. It's a 20-year war. I mean, should we be there? Should we not be there? And what was my position on it back in 2001 versus 2021? And all that. It's very, very, very complicated. Very deserves more nuance and context. Instead of playing political, positions and whatnot. Joe Biden, to his credit, has said that he will retaliate against the forces that got 13 service members killed on 2 days, and from what I understand, he already launched a drone attack on possibly the people responsible for this. So we'll follow the story as this goes on. All right, world of sports. Jameis Winston is now the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. He's taken over the now retired vacant spot from the retired quarterback, all-time great Drew Brees. I'm a Winston fan, of course. Florida State guy. He had a rough go in Tampa. I said this on the show that Jameis Winston needed a reset. I thought the best thing that happened to him last year was to be a backup for Drew Brees, because you play not only behind arguably a top 10 quarterback in the history of this game, you also play behind a guy who I believe is one of the greatest offensive minds in history of the sport in Sean Payton. Sean Payton has done wonders with quarterbacks who are less than what they should have been. Kerry Collins and for starters and whatnot. I mean, Drew Brees, honestly, as great as Drew Brees is, I don't know if he's this good without Sean Payton. Like, Drew Brees was okay in San Diego, but, at the same time, I don't know if we see this Drew Brees, honestly, without Sean Payton. So, I'm not a Saints fan, but I'm hoping that Jameis Winston does well there. Like I said, he's that 1 year, 2 years ago, where he was literally the most inconsistently consistent quarterback in history of football. Consistently inconsistent quarterback football. I mean, led the league in touchdowns and interceptions. So, but I think under Sean Payton, he will be able to at least have some success, and he's done very well in camp. I mean, the fact that they picked him with Taysom Hill, who was another Sean Payton disciple, I think speaks volumes for Jameis and how good he could be, especially in the system. We'll see how that goes. So, another story to follow as you get close to the NFL season. Speaking of football, college football is here. Pretty excited about it for the most part. This is week 0, so I'm not really invested. I'm excited to a point. To a point only because of the fact that I'm a Florida State Seminoles fan. They're going to stink this year probably. Again, for like fourth year in a row. And also my schedule, my work schedule currently now, post-COVID, well, post lockdown from last year, is that I'm not working Saturdays. So instead of being home and watching college football all day on a Saturday before COVID, now I can't do it anymore. I have to work, which is fine. And you can still watch the games at work too, to be honest, because of where I work at, where it's all set up. It's like, 30-something TVs around us, so not like couldn't actually be able to watch the games. But, it's hard to get invested too when you're not home to watch the games. I probably will watch the games at nighttime, but overall, it should be a fascinating year. I don't know who breaks through the Clemson, Alabama bubble, same old teams. So hopefully some new blood in there. And that's just it. So we'll see where that goes, obviously. Now let's go to the world of pro wrestling. And Adam Cole, NXT's Adam Cole, is now officially a free agent as of yesterday, of this podcast yesterday. There's a lot of speculation where he'll go. He could resign to WWE, called to the main roster. But what we do know about Adam Cole right now is that he is done with NXT. Now, if he does indeed stay with WWE, and Vince McMahon, who has said publicly that he wants to keep Adam Cole with his company, he would that will be something he wants to do. But Adam Cole also has connections also in AEW. His girlfriend Britt Baker is the top female in their company. He's also very close to the elite, Young Bucks and all that. And so I don't, we'll see where this goes with Adam Cole. Part of me wants him to stay in WWE, but I also think him getting called to the main roster, he'll get lost in the shuffle. Part of me also wants him to go to AEW because I'm an AEW mark. I know people hate to hear that, but I do think now I know people said that if he goes to AEW he'll get lost in the shuffle. I don't know. Adam Cole, I think, would stand out in AEW. Honestly, it's how he's booked. Honestly, so we'll see how that goes. But Adam Cole, we're gonna know hopefully in the next couple of days his intent where he will sign. I think honestly it's really down to two companies. It's gonna be either WWE or AEW. I don't know why you would go back to Ring of Honor. I don't know why you would go to Impact because at this point he's big time. He's one of the bigger names in the industry. And why would you regress yourself to go into a company unless they're paying a lot of money? Why would you go back? I personally hope it goes to AEW, and I want people to be proven wrong that he can be utilized properly in AEW's roster. But we'll see how that goes. NXT yesterday unveiled its new logo. On SmackDown and on the internet, of course. I don't like it. And it has a tie-dye, looks all colorful and stuff. Now NXT is obviously rebranding this whole thing now. Where they even said yesterday, I think early in the week, that they're no longer doing any signing independent wrestlers and stuff. They're going to allow AEW to have that market and whatnot. They're laser focused on bringing in athletes and sort of like creating what they want as a WWE superstar moving forward. That's whatever. That's their company. That's what they're doing. All that. I just don't like to look. I'm gonna still watch NXT, obviously. Not sure. Hopefully they keep me hooked, whatnot, because there's still guys there I want to watch. Like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano and people of that nature. But I do think at the same time NXT, the logo, not really a big fan of it personally. Very, very. I don't know. I'm a simple guy. I like simple. The NXT logo they had prior to this was perfect for me. Honestly, the music they had. I mean, I miss when they changed music recently. When they had Slipknot's theme theme music on about a year ago. That was perfect for me. That was, to me, my favorite era of NXT. Granted, I only watched the last 3 years, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just they're obviously rebranding the entire NXT brand, and we'll see how where this goes in terms of who they're pushing next and how they're going to operate moving forward. I actually kind of agree with what they're doing, actually, in hindsight, because they're trying to build stars for the future, and the only way you can do that is through the development program. So what we do know now about NXT is that they are no longer a third brand in the same vein of Raw and SmackDown that we thought they were maybe 2 years ago when they made a move to USA Network, and there was some talk that maybe they were the third brand. So, or close to even with Raw and SmackDown. But we'll see. All right, before I go, last thing I want to address, Brandi Rhodes, who was one of the EVPs at AEW, wrote a tweet yesterday that kind of got me kind of like a little annoyed. Here's a tweet she said. Quote, "This might start some shit, but let's talk. I see a lot of people complaining on here that there aren't enough black talent featured in wrestling. Yet, when black talent is out there busting it in main events and holding championships, where's the love? Am I just missing it?" Okay, so this is a topic I've actually gone back and forth with a fellow Twitter handler person. Duke Loves Wrestling on Twitter. Great follow, by the way. And he's one of his complaints about pro wrestling as a whole is the lack of minorities getting pushes or great pushes, specifically AEW. Now, as I said, Brandi Rhodes is one of the EVPs of AEW. He's also married to an EVP in Cody Rhodes at AEW. So, on one hand, she has a point, but there's a lot of irony in what she's tweeting here, because I don't know if this is a reaction to what happened to Bianca Belair last week at SummerSlam, and I don't know if it's a reaction to just the business as a whole. But say what you want about Vince McMahon, he has in recent years pushed minorities to the moon. Okay, Kofi Kingston obviously 2 years ago. Right now, your current WWE champion is Bobby Lashley. Okay, he's been champion since March of this year. You have Sasha Banks hold the title for a while. Then went to Bianca Belair, who held the title for a while. You had the New Day at top of the tag team division for the last 7 years. In fact, they were ranked the number one tag team in the history of the company. So for all the criticism you may want to give WWE and Vince McMahon about minorities, he has certainly done a much better job of putting them in spots to succeed, if you will. AEW is not. AEW, now granted, young 2 years of the company, okay, 2.5 years, whatever. They've had only one minority win championship in the company, one, and that is Scorpio Sky when he was with the SCU back in before they broke up. Okay, so for all the talk about blacks and minorities not getting pushes, if this is an issue, for Brandi Rhodes and whatnot, then how about you start correcting that in your own company? It's like calling a kettle black. Like, you're addressing an issue that you can easily influence within the company you actually have influence on. It's very tone deaf. The tweet was very tone deaf by Brandi Rhodes. And again, I love AEW. I'm accused of being an AEW mark, but on this topic, she is absolutely right and wrong at the same time, because while she's saying this, she's also in a company where they're not currently featuring minorities on a big stage. Okay, I mean the only 2-3 really black wrestlers on the roster currently that's getting even somewhat a mid-card push: Will Hobbs, Scorpio Sky, Lee Johnson's always not getting pushed now, but it's nothing significant. So again, you can sit here and if this is an attack on Vince, you can't do that because Vince is doing it now. Vince, again, Bobby Lashley is your WWE champion, won at WrestleMania. Kofi won the title 2 years ago. Okay, Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, New Day, Big E's Money in the Bank right now currently. You can't use that against Vince, man. He's doing his job. So Brandi, if you want, and then and then the worst part is she deletes the tweet. So what was the point of saying what you said? I'd rather you own what you said, keep tweet up and open a discussion. It's a healthy discussion for the record. But I don't know. I don't know where intent was. So anyway, that's today's Unfiltered podcast on a Saturday, August 28th, 2021. We'll try to do more of these going forward. I'm hoping to do more of these, especially as we start football. Again, this is kind of like a side beat of the Unfiltered podcast. This is short form, 10, 15 minutes a day. Just touch on stories I can't get to on the main show. So till then, love you guys. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Later.